Good Beitzah, a good Moed. Leilu nishmas imirosi ruspas Mordechai. Today's sponsors: the Parnas Achoidish, Shmuly Hecht, in honor of Dovid Zlatnik, F200, Akiva Sulkowitz, F94, Sholom Rand, F202, Shmuly Davidowitz, Davidowitz, B202, Davidowitz, and the official 8-minute Daf Yomi committee by Dan Rubinoff. Lilu nishmas, my mother, Chaya Peril, Bas Yaakov Moshe HaKohen, in honor of her 32nd Yahrtzheit. You know, there's an email I'm supposed to read of his. Could you pull out that email? From Dan Rubinoff, please. By Michael Leichter, in honor of Leibe Ethan Leichter and the great Hillel Komiansky. By Mendy Greenblatt and Shamshi Slafrock, something like that. L'zeich nishmas, their grandfather, Binyamin Ben Shamshin A, Sholom's Yahrtzheit is tonight. Beitzah tonight, Beitzah Hashem, after Shir, a pizza will be served and a Mendy kumsitz from the great singers of the neighborhood and the great singers of the Shir. Dear Reb Eli, this is by Shmuly Hecht. Now you recall Shmuly Hecht was the guy I called out in Shir that he wanted to go raise money for a certain organization on Erev Yom Kippur, and instead he stayed put. And because he stayed put, he got $2,000 for that organization. And his son, who went collecting for the organization, collected 20 shekel exactly. I often heard Rabbi Natan Schiller from Ar Sameach say that Mickey Mantle would have been a great yeshiva bacher, while there have been others with more natural ability. Look at his shtoch here. There have been others with more natural ability. Mantle showed up every day, played hard, and became one of the greatest baseball players of all time. You are the Mickey Mantle of Daf Yomi. Wow. I want to thank you for the now famous tikkun you gave me before Yom Kippur. While I consider myself a committed, hardworking, and generally consistent person, I've never been obsessive at the exclusion of everything else around me. I've likely skipped shir after my daughter gave birth. That said, you had a kvias to learn, and the doctors and her husband were there to look after her. The best place for you was indeed in the Beis Medrash, as was the case for me last week. I am now committed, to being obsessive about attending the daf at 7:15 a.m. at the exclusion of everything else around me. I also want to credit you with my new approach to learning, as I've also committed to the evening koil at my shul KSY every night of the week. I may have not made that evening commitment if you hadn't called me out before Yom Kippur. Being obsessive about something is new to me. However, it's probably a good and necessary thing when it comes to learning Torah. Thanks for calling me out, Mick. And now look at this, Rabbi say, Dear Belly, Chag Sameach, been wanting to write for a while. I finally got the last push I need this morning for the MDY, from the MDY Miami chat group. I live in the community of Harbor Island in Hollywood, Florida. In many shuls, they have their Kiddush club, while the Olam reads something they call the Haftorah on Shabbos. I know, but ours is different. It is in ours. There are no sports chat, very little politics, no nonsense. 1 week, while we sipped our Glenlivet, downed our jalapeno herring and potatoes, Gedalia Fenster, that's the one who just lost his son, Ebbach, young kid, surprisingly took out his Gemara, Yuma, made a beautiful siyum, and gave us all a bit of Reb Eli's background and inspired me to join. I've not missed a daf since. Shkoyach, Baruch Atah. Whoa. What is that? No, I need the other one. No, it's too dark. Is this like a dessert wine? Yeah, give this. He's dying for me to drink this stuff. I can't. I don't want to throw up in front of everybody. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagofen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedei shalom seisov v'tzivanu leishev b'sukkah. Now, give me some real wine, please. Where's that noble stuff? So, Avi Factor brought in some amazing bottles. We have some noble here, but I want to taste the noble. These are 500 shekel bottles each. What? Yeah, you're right. But I saw it before. I don't know. Okay, we're not going to go into that. What am I doing now? This is the email you also sent. Oh, this is a long one. All right, Rabbi Sai, we have some. We got to go quickly here. So anyways, I finished the first Masechta of my life. And we'll be having a siyum on Sunday night in the Sukkah. It's unbelievable. He's finishing Masechta Sukkah in the Sukkah, which will be a recruiting activity for MDY, Beitzah Hashem, and are still holding strong. Every Erev Sukkot, there's a big tension at home, and for some reason, the palm leaf guy would deliver late cancel, blah, blah, blah. This year, he took it upon himself to bring the schach to his community. He found a guy that feeds the elephants in the Miami Zoo, so he provided, I guess the elephants eat this palm tree stuff, and he got the 16 families, 293 palm leaves. Big kitzer, he didn't want to be Yahrtzheit, he did it himself as Zoy. Great. And then it's the first time in his life, he schlepped his kids and picked out his arba minim instead of having them delivered to his home. Gewaldig. Very sadly, Gedalia got me into all this, had to bury his son yesterday after a long battle with illness. It is his son's merit that in Mirz Hashem, we will have a siyum on Masechtas Beitzah with new recruits from our community in a few days in our Kiddush club. May his neshama have an aliyah, Yerachmiel, Daniel, Ben Tova, Basha. So Rabbi say, in Miami especially, the Olam should get it. It's a great idea to get more guys to join Lilu Nishmas, Yerachmiel, Daniel, Ben Tova, Basha. Unbelievable. What a schus it would be. Attached is a picture of myself learning the sukkah while smoking meats for Shabbos Chalamayid, Alexander Brenner. So first of all, I want to say a big shkoyach, a public shkoyach to Avi Berg, who Erev Shabbos brought him, because we were talking about smoking meats, he brought a huge piece of meat. It was delicious, this big, and it's done. It's finished. Now, Rabbi said, I want to see what a sukkah looks like. Here, I'm jealous of the sukkah. It's in Florida. Look at this guy, chilling in his sukkah. It's unbelievable. Such a beautiful picture. All right. And here's the smoker. He is in Chutz La'aretz. We don't feel, yeah, you're right. Okay, there's more?
I don't know, he sent this email.
Okay, hold on. Nobody poured me wine yet. This is Loig Larosh, the stuff. Pasha, Mati doesn't know what that means, it's Seder. Mati? No, noble. You have? That's noble? Oh, that's Yishkoyach from the Edom. Oh. Baruch HaToy VaMeitiv. I won't say it with Shem Hashem, but it's 100% HaToy VaMeitiv, because I saw the battle beforehand. Shmak. Okay. In a glass. Okay. So Dan Rubinoff says, you guys know who Dan Rubinoff was. He came to share in Miami, in Israel, in every city, in Lakewood, in Miami, did I say Miami already?
Yeah, that's okay.
And what else? And in Miami, Lakewood, New York, Brooklyn, everywhere. He just so happened, and Teaneck, of course. Sponsoring Shiva Matzah Shabbos, Leading Nishmas, Imi Mirasi, Chai Perel Bas Yaakov Moshe Cohen, whose 32nd Yahrtzheit. I guess she was nifta at a very young age. She was a Bas Torah, and she said, before I do anything in life, I need to become a Ben Torah and a Talmud Chacham. To honor her legacy, my brother and I, every year, since my bar mitzvah, I've made a siyum on her Yahrtzheit. To be honest, most years I was Yahrtzeit and quickly finished one of the easy Masechtas. Thank you to you and the MDY share. Finally realized I didn't come into this world to be Yahrtzeit, and I've finished 4 Masechtas since the last Yahrtzeit. I know I have a long way to go to reach the goal my mother set out for me, but wanted to personally thank you and show you Yahrtzheit for all that you have done for me personally. I've not missed a day of shir since the beginning of Pesachim, when I've never thought I would make it this far. Thanks to the shir, I've met some of the most amazing people who live both near and far, and many events I have been fortunate enough to attend in the tri-state area, Miami, and Eretz Yisrael. Also amazing to see some old friends, including some from my hometown, Toronto, Yehuda Cohen, Mayor Planka, my long-lost cousin, Ari Blau. I'd also like to give a shout-out to my father who joined the shir last week, Dan Rubinoff, a.k.a. BC25. What's BC? Doesn't he live? Oh, Bergen County. Gewaldig. Another one. Rabbi say, here we go. We are Daf Chof Hey. Welcome to all the guests. A couple of new faces. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Moshe? Mevorach. Oh, you're Mevorach. Okay. Ah. Really? Beautiful. And the guy who's Surli from Vanen? Months in New York. Shalom Aleichem. You've been with us for a while? Surli Adler. Givala. From where? What? When did you start? Really? Shabbos, Masechta Shabbos, Shmuly Adler. Hold on, let's turn this around so the other can see who Shmuly Adler is and Rabbi Mevorach. He's not a lot of people are not allowed to know. You should black out his face. He's one of the. Hold on, once I'm doing this, I might as well show the whole. This is not YouTube. That's YouTube. Okay. What is this? This is not going to be YouTube. Who?
No one's walking home tonight. No,
Givaldik, let's start. Okay. Says the Eli Gemara, Amar Rav Bar Ravuna Amar Rav. Hasoicher amas hamayim merev yontif. If he has a very narrow canal of water, and he does something like this, you see? Is that the picture that they're going to see on YouTube? Gary, I know you're busy, but...
Yeah, that one.
Okay, good, thank you. So, if he plugs up a canal before Yontif, right before Yontif, in other words, new fish cannot enter this area. And he finds fish there the next day. Where did the fish come from? Obviously, he trapped them before Shabbos, and Memela, he was maksa them, he set them aside, and nothing new came in. Because if a new fish came in, he wasn't maksa. Over here, muktzah is good. Haktzah, saying that I didn't? Yeah. Okay. I got Baruch Hashem because I didn't prepare those few lines. Yeah. I probably just ran through at the last minute of that, but we got there. Okay. Mutarib. Omer Rav Chizda Medivri Rabbeinu Nilmoid. Says Rav Chizda. And Rashi points out that Rav Huna and Rav Chizda and Rav Nachman, all three of them, I wanted to make a quick chart, but I forgot. All three of them are Talmidim of Rav. So we learn from Rav, because Rav says that if I set aside, I designate before Yontif, I set aside an area of water and I get the fish. It's a cool way to catch fish. They come through a very narrow area, poof, they're done. You just go grab them. They're easy to catch. It must be in an area because we learned that fish are able to sneak away, go into the crevices. So no crevices, easy to grab them, no tzeda, and also it's haktzah. Okay. From there you learn if an animal comes and gives birth in your orchard, now we're talking about the baby animal, the Vlad, so he can't really get away. Although animals, going back to the jungle, some of these animals can run as quick as their mother, like 2 minutes after they were born, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Okay, we're talking about an animal that can't get away. You can just go over it and grab it. So now think about it for a second. Is it the same case? One, you trapped all the fish before Yontif, and over here an animal gave birth. And what? You didn't do anything. So that's what the Gemara is going to ask. Or Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman, who's a friend of Rav Chizda, also a Talmud of Rav, Nafal Chavrin, our friend Rav Chizda, Rav Rivasa. He fell into something bigger than him, basically. It's something, he got himself into trouble. It's a big machlokes. Why? And we're going to stop for a second. The Gemara is going to just go into something else that he might have said it to somebody else. The point is going to come up in a minute. Igad Amri, and some people say, Omer Rav Huna, the same exact thing. However, it's Rav Huna that is the Talmud of Rav. What is that noise? It's outside? Okay, as long as we're not going to hear the music coming from the...
Well, you better finish.
Yeah, we got to finish quickly. Soon it's going to be Leibe outside. So, we're just changing who it is. That's it. That's all the Gemara is doing here. Rav Huna was the Talmud. Rab is the son of Rav Huna. Medivri Rabbeinu Nilmoid says the son of a Talmud. I could learn from Rav. Same halacha. Omer Rav Nachman, and on that Rav Nachman said, Nafal bar Chavrin, the son of our friend, the son of Rav Huna, who's our friend, Rav Rivasa, and a great machlokes. What's the problem? When an animal gives birth, you didn't do anything. There was no zimun. You weren't makted. You didn't say this should be for me. But by the fish, by stopping the water from trapping the fish every yontiv, that's a maisa. You did something that you were mizam in the fish. What? You don't need to trap. So over here it says that you have to do a zimun even for an animal that was born and easy to trap. You have to do zimun. You have to say, I want to eat this animal before Yantif goes in. V'tzipor dror, tzarich likshor b'chnofel. And when you have one of those sparrows, I got really lucky, Rabbi Isai. I went online and I found this. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't get any better than this picture. This is a dror, which I don't know that the wings are tied, but it is tied. The point is, you made a simon here. If you ever noticed a baby shkoyach, a baby pigeon looks very different than its mother. So there's no confusion. But a dror is so small, the sparrow is so small, that you can confuse it with its mom, and therefore, if you want to eat the baby, because it can't really fly and there's no tzeda, then you just tie its wings so that you have a great simon, that's the one that you put aside. Shmaya v'Avtalion, the famous Gerim who were from the Zugais, they were the Rabbeim of Hillel and Shammai. So, to Yufta, over here you see Shmaya and Avtalion say, you have to do zimun, you have to put it aside, you can't just talk about it. Umibai zimun, you can't just think about it, you have to set it aside. Umibai zimun, so the Gemara says, but wait a minute, I know Shmaya and Avtalion said that you need zimun, you have to put it aside, but we see somewhere else that you don't need. But Hayon Rishim ben Elazar, Moed Beis Shammai u'Yisrael al sheizminon b'toich haken, u'matza lefnei haken shasurim. So going back to this case, you remember in the beginning of the Masechta, what was it, like 2 weeks ago only, yeah? So here you have, these are, remember the birds, I superimpose these birds. But let's say, here's the cane, and he says, I want to use this pair right over here. And they were inside the dovecote. And there were birds right above them. And he came the following day, and what does he see? He sees that the birds above are gone, and the birds that he wanted to be mizamen are on the ledge. So over there we say, it's also. So we continue. This is all said on pigeons. And pigeons that live in a shoivach, in a dovecote like this, or in your attic. And in birds that, remember we had, where was that picture? We had the other day, just yesterday. Oh, it was over here. Maybe it's this one. That you put a jar outside of your house and they come in there and they nest there. So, we discussed yesterday the geese, the chickens, the pigeons of Hurdus, that one of them, they were able to talk and they say, king, king. And then one of them said, slave, slave. And they chopped off his head. Oh, here's the halacha we're looking for. If you have an animal, while you have a deer that gave birth in your rishus, mutarim, ve'ein tzrichim zimun. Over here it says mefurish, not like Shmaya and Avtalion. The mutar, you don't need zimun. And v'tzipa dror, so that's the question. We continue on. V'tzipa dror, you have to tie the sparrow, they should let this chalabima, it shouldn't get confused with its mother. If they're tied, or you picked them up, you did a kinyan on it. If they're in boirais, bottom, in a pit, in a house, in some sort of drainage, umarais, in a cave, mutarim. Okay, just where do you have them? If they're in a bar, great. If they're in a tree where a bird typically hangs out, you're not allowed to grab it on Yantiv because you might come to pull off a branch. And then another halacha, this is all not neged to us, just we're finishing up the Beitzah. Since I lifted up the bird, what happened when I lifted it up? I was koined be hagba. So if I put it down, my friend is not allowed to take it, he's a ganav. Okay. How do you know that I picked it up? Because you watched me. How do you know that I tied it? Because it's tied now. Okay. Omer Rav Nachman lo kasha. Haba. So we have a stira. We have a contradiction. On the one hand, it says birds or animals need zimun, and Beishamai we learned that what? Sricha zimun. They need zimun. Now we just learned the Beitzah. They don't need a zimun. Haloi kasha. Loi kasha. Haba ima. So a mother is a large bird, can run away. So you need zimun. You have to say, okay, I'm designating that bird, I'm going to eat it. But a baby that's not going to run away, you don't have to designate, and that's the Beitzah. Shmai and Naftali, we're talking about the mother. Ask the Gemara, ima bezimun sagila. What? You're a bird that could escape. All you need to do is say, hey, I want to eat that bird. That's not enough. Say the Ma'alisaboy. From you saying, you see a random bird, you're going to point at it and say, I want to eat it? You have to catch it. Well, it's not enough just to say in something that's mechusar ma'isa of tzeda. Yeah, you're right. We're talking about the bird that can fly away. We're talking about the vlad. If you had intent to eat that bird, why? Because it's so close to you, then you don't need zimun. Then you need zimun because it's too far away. Says the Heilige Mishnah, official Mishnah sponsored by official or for Shlema Brian Abbas Yenta Dvaira. Behema Mesukenes Lo Yishchot. You have an animal that's about to die. That was one of the videos somebody just sent me. I think, Weissfish, Avram Weissfish, when he sent me the video of the twin, what is it called? Ben Pekuas. So the mother looked like she's dying. And they right away did a shchita, and they took out the Ben Pekuas. I'm thinking now that's probably what would happen. They realized they're about to lose this animal, so they immediately went and did a shchita. And then they found that it's a Ben Pekua. Otherwise, what happened? Let her give birth, whatever. Just looked, she mamish looked out of it. So, says Rashi, we're talking about a guy that just finished fressing up a meal on Yontif. He's full to the gill. He can't put another morsel of food. He had Avi Berg's smoked meat, and he's done. So he has absolutely no reason to shech this carbon, this animal. Why is he shechting this animal? The only reason he's shechting this animal because he wants to save his money. If the animal dies, it's worthless. It's an avela. If he could shecht it right now, he could eat it. But it's not oichel nefesh. It's yantiv. It's not oichel nefesh. What could he do? Lo yishchot, says the Mishnah. Elim kein yeshos b'yoyim lechol mimenu kazayis tzali. If he could finish, he could shecht it. And it takes a long time from the time of shechita until you get the meat on the grill. If you could grill it, which is the quickest way to do it, it's not bishul, it's you just put a piece of meat, a couple minutes later, you have a little bit of a steak. All you need is kizayis. Then I'm allowed to shech the entire animal. For that, kizayis, I saved my animal. It's a little bit of a trick. I saved the animal. Now, initially we're going to understand, there's another pshat to it, but beis tvichasa would mean from the place of the shechting. So, they slit the throat, and right there is meat. So you don't have to go into the animal, into the kishkin, and start getting a steak. Right there, you just grab a little bit, and that's it. If you can do that, then you're good. It says you don't have to do anything. You don't have to cook it. You don't have to put it on the grill. If you get your hand on a kazayas of meat, that's enough. You could eat it like that, sushi, whatever. Beis tvichas. Shchata basada. Now another halacha. This has nothing to do with anything. This is a regular animal. Shchata basada. You shechted an animal away from your house. Don't, here, I have a picture. Don't put it on a pole. Yeah? Like this. Why? This is Uvda D'chol. This doesn't look good on Shabbos to do something like that. You don't schlep professionally. MMA law. No, not in a mite, not in a maita, whatever a maita is. Some say mita, maita. Avomevi biyada, evarim, evarim. If it's diced up, it's already chopped up into pieces, that you're allowed to. They allow you to bring parts of an animal through the streets. That's not uvda d'chol. But to schlep it with your friend on a beam, on a pole, that's not nice for Yontif. Omar Rami bar Abba, hefshet v'nituach ba'oila. So it says in the pasuk, it doesn't get any more mefurish than this. V'hifshit es ha'oila, V'nitach oisa l'nesochel. If you want, you can see it on the screen. We're professional sukkah here. We have a screen. You don't really have to look at me. If you're facing that way, you could just look at the screen. Okay, so it says your hefshet is to remove the skin, v'nitach, and you cut it up. That's what it says by a carbon takodesh baruch hu. That's what you have to do for an oila. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, uadin lekatzavim. Before you get to eat anything, just like, Madi's here with the pizza. I guess the oilam could eat a little bit. I don't know. The washing, not washing is a little bit of a problem. You can give it out now. Why? Let them. But it's gonna get cold, no? Sorry, Belchaim. We're gonna go as quick as possible. Okay, fine. Whoever wants to eat could eat now. I'm not makbid. So, vuadin lekatzavim. The butchers they should do hefshet v'nituach before you eat. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachal doesn't eat on the mizbeach. You don't put the meat on the mizbeach until you do hefshet v'nituach. Until you take off all the skin and cut it up. You don't just throw a whole animal. So too you human beings should not be eating before you remove the skin and cut it up. Mikanlim the Torah derech eretz. Manners. Rabbi say manners in the Gemara. There's a way you're not a fresser. You don't shecht an animal and it's still jumping around and you start eating. That's not manners. You wait patiently, you take off the skin, you cut it up, then you eat. Michael Mashmal. So the Gemara says, what's the chiddush here? Is he telling us a chiddush lahalacha? In other words, don't grab a piece of meat. Rabbi said, think about it. If I take a piece of meat from the neck of the animal and I eat it, what happens a half hour later when the meshgiach comes, opens up the animal, checks the lungs and the heart, or whatever he checks, and he sees that it's treif. So I just say treif. Maybe that's what the Gemara is saying. First, make sure that this animal is completely kosher. All the things that we check in an animal. Then go eat. What are you eating before you check it? Or no, maybe the Gemara is teaching us manners. Says Gemara, maybe I'm telling you a halacha. An animal is Ever Min HaChai. So in order for me to eat an animal, I have to know for sure that it's not Ever Min HaChai. In other words, I did something to undo the Ever Min HaChai. I did shchita karoyu. Now I have now I got out of the chazaka of Isser. Every animal has a cheskas Isser. Every animal is Asur because of Ever Min HaChai until I undo that Isser. And then says Ravuna, Nishchata. Once I do a shchita, b'cheskes heter imedes. So maybe the Gemara is saying that this animal, even though I did shchita, it's not enough. I needed to hide it. I need to open it up and check whatever I check, and then you can eat it. Ravuna is wrong. Ravuna said that as soon as I do shchita, it's mutar to eat. Maybe that's what the Gemara is coming to Mechadish. We don't agree with Ravuna. It's not enough just to shecht it. I need to go take more steps like we do today. We take a meshgiach, they blow up the lungs, they do this, they do that. Fine. Says the Gemara. Maybe there's an Indian to check that it's not a treifa. But it's not true. Ravuna does go very well. Shtims with the Mishnah. Why? This not Rabbi Akiva. Look, in our Mishnah, we just learned that the Mishnah holds, brings Rabbi Akiva, that you could, as long as you get a little piece of flesh out of there, and that's what Ravuna says. It's enough. You don't need to check the whole thing. So maybe it means from the neck. No, we're talking about from the stomach, the intestines, where it eats up, it digests the food. That's based vichasa. That's where you have to get the piece of meat from. In other words, you do open up, you do check it out. But it's not true. We learned that it's talking about the place of the shechita. Says the Gemara, in fact, we are teaching proper manners. The Gemara is teaching, yes. I don't recall anymore. We had a sugya, I forgot what it was. I should have looked it up. There was an Amira, maybe it was like Shmuel's son or something, but I have no clue. He came home and he complained to his father that all he learned by his Rebbe is how to use the bathroom. Halachas of the bathroom. Remember that, Leibe? And his father said, "Oh, that's what you learn, Gevaldik." Yeah, the Gemara does teach how to act in day-to-day life. So we just turned to Amud Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim group. For all those who need Yeshuos and Refuas and Shidduchim, please join Tehillim.amdv.com, and sponsored by Natan. What's the name again? Natan is here, live. Khoshnood. For schos, for my children, Kolev and Yisrael, Yaakov and Dvorah, that they should be both. They should both do well in Eretz Yisrael. Have cheshik v'Torah. You hear this lashon? Cheshik v'Torah. Mitzvahs and Yirah Shamayim. All right. Kedesanya. Lo yoichal odom shum u'botzel meroishoy elo me'olav. When you are eating, like, I don't know, onion ice cream. See, you don't grab it by the leaves and start biting into it. That's a fresser. So what do? It looks like you don't have time to chop off the leaves. You went right into it. Ella me'olav. I just thought this Rashi is cool. You would appreciate, what's your name again from Muncie? Adler? It's really, look at Rashi here. You'd like it. Botzel, tzvibele, he says. Okay. Tzibul. Okay, tzibul. Fine. V'im ochal, and if he ate it from the leaves instead of flipping it over and cutting off the leaves, harei rafton is a fresser. It's a boy. Similar halacha. Adam koisoi bevasachas. If you have a revius in your cup, you don't drink it in one shot. Vimshasa harei gargaron. You are a, what's a gargaron in English? It's like a fresser, but that's a rafton. Gargaron is in for drinking, whatever the lashon is. A lush. A chugger. Okay, chugger. That's a good word. A guzzler. A guzzler. Like it. Okay, who said that? Art scroll. You're gonna have to do it over? What do you mean? It's on YouTube. But who said you weren't listening? We started off the shir that you don't go pouring wine for other people instead of learning Torah. You learn Torah. Torah comes first. Let the guys that are not learning pour wine. Oh, you put the wine down. The Adam says he's not learning. He can pour the wine. He learns in Koilo by Reb Berkowitz. He doesn't do the daf. Torah about it. Going back. It doesn't. Here, take this. Avek. If you drink it in one shot, you're a guzzler. Shnayim derech. The way to do it is two. Shloisha. I was laughing. You know those, especially women. They go to Starbucks. They spend $7 on a coffee, and they hold like this with the two hands. That's bad. That's really bad. It's gasei ruach. It always made me nervous. Just drink the coffee. Take it with one hand, chuck it down. No. Two hands. No, it says before in the Gemara. Gasei ruach. You take those extra sips. It's gaiva. V'omar romi barabo chatzuvo. Oh, so the Gemara says like this. You can learn from. I thought you were learning now.
It's over. Night's gone. I have to start over.
No. Every word here counts, and it's always a new inyan or new masechta. Mati, sit down and start learning. Let the batlanim here. There's some guys over there that don't know what to do. They're waiting for the pizza. Those guys, the guys that came for pizza, should do the wine. All right. So, Lamaisa, at the end of the day, we can learn. We learn from chayas, different midas. We can learn even from plants, the Gemara says. Chatzuva. This is what Yeshua used to divide Eretz Yisrael. It's like a little plant that grows straight down. And the reason he used it, the roots didn't go into other properties. So you learn from here, Mikatei Raglei and the Rishaya. The Rishayim, their legs are going to be chopped off from this plant. In other words, if a plant could do it, you should also act like that without stealing from your friends. Nitiya, Arla, Mikater raglein de katzavayo. These butchers who don't have patience and they're serving the meat before they chop it up, you have to learn patience from the concept of arla. You plant a tree, you have nice fruit here, like that tree in the corner right above the TV. I planted it, I couldn't have those fruit for like 5 or 6 years because I wasn't sure when I planted it. So I kept on going every year, like, is it a past arla? I don't know. Is it revive? I have no idea. It's for sure. Now it's like 6, 7 years old. Now we started to use those. They don't really taste good, but it doesn't matter. So, Shemitah. Right, now we can't, but well, you could because they grew, but it goes by this. Okay. People that don't have patience and they're oiver yisurim, they don't wait until mikvah, whatever, the oiver yisurim. Interesting, I was just speaking to a frum guy from the neighborhood, and he wasn't, I just want to say this because he wasn't aware that the isser of boyali nidas, even teenagers, before marriage, there's an isser karas on a nida. And he wasn't aware of the fact that Isser Karas is also for the man. Both. So in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know and says, before marriage is different, no, it's not different. And if somebody says it's only for the woman, not true. It's everybody. Karas, it's a very big Isser. The Boyali Nidos. Patience. People should have patience, get married, the whole zach. Turmusa. There's a bean called a turmus. Spoke about it back in Brachas. This bean, you have to boil it, cook it 7 times in a row in order to eat it. So, Mikater Agleon, the Soinem Yisrael, the enemies of Klal Yisrael, meaning Klal Yisrael. So, Loshen Nikia, the music started already. Shenemar v'yisivim b'nei Yisrael lazis rabbeinu Hashem. So, if you count in the pasuk over here, the pasuk enumerates 7 times that they did Avodah Zarah. V'yavdus ha'ba'alim, that's 1. V'sashtaris 2. V'zakei Aram, v'zakei Tzidon, v'zakei Moav, v'zakei Bnei Ammon, v'zakei Plishtim. V'yazvus Hashem v'le'yavadu. So, the Jews, the first pshat is that the Yidden, they were like the Turmus. They, even though they cooked themselves 7 times, they were over 7 times, they still didn't believe in Hashem. If somebody has good pshat here, I don't really understand simple pshat, like why we bring a raya from a turmus. A turmus, that's the way to do it. 7 times is not a big deal. You should bring a raya from like an apple. Apple, you cook 1 time, and it's okay, it's good. And Klal Yisrael went 7 times, and it's still not good. Why do you bring a raya from something that takes 7 times, and finally it's good after 7 times? And Klal Yisrael did it 7. I don't exactly understand that. Right, Rav Nachman said, Shevi Yipol Tzadik, no. I know it's a Gemara, sorry. It's maybe it's a pasuk.
He stays bad for 7 times.
What?
Just like the turmus, he stays uncooked for the 7th time.
Yeah.
We saw they weren't bad for 7 times.
Right.
Even after the 7th time, they weren't good.
Right, but 7 is normal for a turmus. That's what I'm saying. It's great. Turmus is normal to do 7 times, and then after the 7th time, it's good. Klal Yisrael.
They didn't become good even after 7 times.
Right, they didn't become good after 7 times. Why is turmus the example of ra for them? The worse than you're right. The worse than a turmus. I agree. The worse than a turmus, but is the worse than an apple also. The worse than anything. Okay, fine. I hear it. The worse than a turmus, but it doesn't like. It's not like a taina. You should be like a turmus. Why is that a taina? Turmus it takes 7 times. No. Okay, fine. We'll talk later. Now the Gemara says another pshat, a little bit different, same thing, same idea, but we're talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not Klal Yisrael. And they left Hashem. Of course, if they left Hashem, then they didn't worship Hashem. Why does the pasuk continue that the lo yavdu? Not only did they left Hashem, they didn't even worship Him. Of course, they didn't worship Him. They left Him. It takes 7 times. It's very bitter, but after the 7th time, it becomes nice and sweet. You can eat it as dessert, like this wine right over here. They still don't believe in me. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu talking. Okay. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu give them Torah? There's a lot of radar because all the nations didn't accept it. Klal Yisrael accepted it. But why do they learn it all day? Why are they supposed to learn it all the time? They just know the halachas and then finished. Because Klal Yisrael has a midah of azus. They're very tough people, and the Torah breaks them down. This I thought was incredible because a lot of times we have a pasuk in the daf, not a lot, it's rare, and when we have a pasuk in the daf, then we say the Vilna Gaon says, I would say it's a shmeichel from Hashem. Hashem is looking down and says, oh, it coincides. But this pasuk we just read literally 3 hours ago in Mincha. Miminoi eish das lamoy. What does it mean? Pashup pshat. Miminoi, from Hashem's right hand, eish das in Hebrew, dat. It's religion. Baruch Hu gave us the halachas with fire. Fiery halachas. They deserve to have fiery halachas. Which will, I guess, break them down. The same shalelu eish. Their nature is fire. They're fiery people. If I wouldn't have given them the Torah, they'll be wild. They'll be out of control. Takasi. Okay, we're not going to get into it. But Yidden, without Torah, they can be a little wild. They're all over the world, everywhere, doing crazy stuff. They're azim, azus, azim metzach. So they need the Torah to calm them down and put them in their place. Shimon Lakish says there's 3 categories. In 3 different categories is azus. Yisrael b'umais, from all the nations, Klal Yisrael are the azim. Kelev b'chayos. That's why people hate dogs. A kelev is the most az in the animals, whatever that means. I saw a different pshat that even when they're hungry, they bark at the people and they pretend that they're not hungry. Okay, tarnagol b'oifos and the chicken. But based on this, people say, oh, you can't have a dog because they're azim, but we eat chicken all day long. Tarnagol b'oifos, the chickens are as a punishment from the birds. The goat is the most az of all the smaller animals. Here's the tzlaf, caperberry. We had a lot of it in brachas. It's something that you could eat, the leaf and the stem, everything. Okay. Shchada basada. All right, you guys ready? Where's Avi? Soon, in a minute or two. A person who's blind, who doesn't really need a stick to walk. It's not his leg. It's not. He gets along better with the stick, but doesn't really need it. He's not allowed to walk with it. Why? Because it's uvda dechol. It looks like something you do during the day, during the weekday. Shouldn't be walking around. Interesting. I'm thinking about it now. You know, some people on Shabbos will walk with a knapsack. So, what's this? Or here, you see, a shepherd should not walk with this pouch. It's not Shabbosdik, they say. But where does it say in Allah you're not allowed to? What is Shabbosdik? Here, there's a concept of it's not Shabbosdik. Ve'yoytzim b'kisei. Shouldn't walk out with a chair. Echad ish, ve'echad isha. So we'll see what that means in a second. Eini. There's an elderly man in our neighborhood. So Rabbi said, look at Rashi Dibra Maskil Bedlutke. See if you see what I saw in this Rashi. Does anybody see the Rashi Dibra Maskil? 1/3 from the bottom of the Amud. Bedlutke. Anybody? What? Foldy stool. That's what I saw in Rashi. Foldy stool. You guys see it now? Rashi says foldy stool. It's a folding chair. Yeah. Like a beach chair. And he said, if they need this individual, he's a Talmud Chacham, he's giving a shear, you're allowed to carry the chair. You're allowed to carry him on a chair. Some Rabbi Seinu al Divrei Achai Shokya the Omar. There's a person by the name of Achai Shokya. He said, I actually brought Rav Huna from one, they were close to each other, from Hini to Shilei, Shilei Lihini, Bar Menachem Yitzchak, and now I picked them as Shmuel, Shimsha Latula. Where's the place, Shimsha? Where's it located? Shimsha is from the sun to the shade. It's not a place. I moved him from the sun to the shade. Umetula Shimsha. It's not a kasha, because at the end of the day, if people need him, he's a needed person, you're allowed to carry him. Barada is a person who went to Yerushalayim a lot. You hear that music?
No, we don't hear the music.
Is that your music? You put it on the outside of the porch?
My car is on downstairs.
Shliach Tzion. He used to go to Yerushalayim a lot, from Bavel to Yerushalayim. So he called him Shliach Tzion. He says, listen, you're going to be taking a trip soon, like Avi. You ready, Avi? No, hold on. No, we need a video in a second. But you come over here, no? Avada. Oh, schlep it like that? Hold on a second. Okay, fine. Kisag is lawesome. Akiv vizil asul modatzur. Akiv means take a detour. When you go to Eretz Yisrael, do me a favor. Go out of your way a little bit and get the tzum of the tzur. Vizil gabi de Rabbi Yaakov Ba'idi. Make sure you bump into Rabbi Yaakov Ba'idi. Ubay v'nei kisim ma atum bey. What is the halacha regarding a chair? You allowed to carry it or not? And the Azal Asam, unfortunately, it wasn't like today. By the time he got to Eretz Yisrael, Noch Nashi de Rabbi Yaakov Ba'idi, Rabbi Yaakov was already nifter. Kisalik, so he's leaving Ashkechel Reb Zrika, and he asked Reb Zrika, Amalei, Kisei Matum Bey, what do you think about a chair? So I have a picture here of Ikatif. It means like this. If a person, you have a chair, and you put it on the shoulders of these people, like right, just like this. That's Katif. Now, typically, this is okay. Now, don't look at, if you look closely at this picture, this is a real picture. If you look closely, they have straps here, so this might be also Kitov a little bit. But actually, Katif means it shouldn't be on their shoulders like this. You see the difference? Here, the poles are on the shoulder. Over here, the poles are in their hand. That's okay. That's not, because on the shoulder, you can go further. Says the Gemara, here we go. What does it mean it shouldn't be on the shoulder? And now Rabbi Isai, I couldn't find the picture of Alunke, so we're going to have a live demonstration from Avi and his two yeshiva Bachar sons are going to do a live demonstration of what Alunke is. What's Alunke? No? Who's doing it? Who's sitting? Okay, here we go. No, it has to be much better. No, wrong way. Let me tell you how it's done. Your hand has to, Shaya's hand has to be on your shoulders, and your hand has to be on Shaya's shoulders. And then, with the chair.
Oh, come on, really?
Here, put it over here. Start from up here.
Get over here.
Let's see, Avi. Let's see you do this without falling.
No,
it's impossible.
Do you need me to do it?
No.
Let me see. How's it going to be? Oh, like that. There you go. Now, Avi, get up on the chair, through the chair. Now, two people have to pick out. Oh. This is going to hurt. Doesn't matter. It's Kedai. Oh. Otazoi. Good looking. Alunke. Wow. Yishkoyach Zevi, Yishkoyach Shaya. Yishkoyach, thank you. And by the way, these guys have amazing voices. We sang Friday night. Last night we had Kumzitz in Avi Sukkah for hours. How do you know about it? You heard it? Who did it? Did really? Wow, I thought the sukkah was private. I thought nobody could hear. Seriously, you were able to hear? I'm not kidding. I didn't know. You wish. Another 10 minutes, years over. Says the Gemara, 80. Okay, we're going to be finished in a minute. Rav Nachman's famous wife, Yalta, many stories in Shas. Once I believe it was her, that she broke 400 barrels of, she was upset that her husband didn't give her wine. I think it was her, yeah? Does anybody remember? Forgot to look it up. Yalta, famous many times in Shas. I'm sorry. What they just demonstrated to us, Rav Nachman said that his wife is allowed to go out like that. I'm thinking that was men did it. So what about Sneas? Okay. She had a fear, and Memela, she was allowed to go like that. That what? Because there's so many people in the Beis Medrash, so they shouldn't get crushed. They were able to do alunka. Also, they were afraid that they're going to get stepped on or whatever, so they were able to do it. So, if there's a little bit of a sakana, somebody that we need together, it's mutter. Rabbi have a wonderful moed. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Breakfast again in the sukkah. Be'ezer Hashem. Good moed. And now is going to be a pizza time. Not the pizza time, but pizza now.